And we are live here at the offices of Scarce City. I am your host today, Chris Tremount, Chief Executive Pleb at Scarce City. We have an extra special auction for you today. We are auctioning off the OG NFT. This is Rare Pepe, the original Rare Pepe. And this is Scarce City's first NFT. We wouldn't just auction off any NFT. It would only be an NFT on Bitcoin, and it would only be something really special for you. So we have Joe Looney, the Rare Pepe extraordinaire, who's going to be joining us here in a couple minutes to talk about the entire history of this special work of digital art. Before we do, I'm going to do a quick intro into Lightning Auctions, just in case anybody is new here. The auction is open for bidding. Go to scarce.city, find the Rare Pepe page. We've been accepting bids for 5 minutes, and we already have an opening bid of 100,000 sats from Tweetious. And if you want to bid against Tweetious, what you do is you come down here, you input how much you want to bid in sats. We do the sats math for you. We tell you how much of a bid deposit you'll have to put down for that bid, and then just put in your email address. It can be any email address as long as you have access to it. This is how we verify the winner. If it is your first time placing a bid with this email address, you will need to input a display name. This is what shows up in the bid table down here. Your email address stays private. And once you're good with that, you'll press place bid. We'll tell you some more important information, and then we'll direct you over to BTC Pay Server to pay an invoice for what you were quoted here. Lightning is the default. Of course, that's how you're going to do your instant low fee bid deposits. You can pay on chain, but if you do pay on chain, just be aware you will get wrecked on fees. And we do need those on chain payments to confirm within the standard auction countdown. And within the final 15 minutes of the auction, which we call the hot zone, you will no longer be able to pay on chain. So make sure to have your Lightning wallet all set for that. All right. Without further ado, I'm going to welcome on Mr. Joe Looney. Joe, how you doing?
Good. How's it going?
I'm doing great. Were you able to set up the, let's see, I got you in Telegram.
Yeah, I have my phone on. I mean, I can't hear it. Hold on, I can unmute myself. All right.
Yeah.
I'm unmuted.
We should be good now. Anyone in the banter channel, tell us if it's coming through good or terribly. And I don't know. This is an experiment. We'll see if we can make it work. But, the only way to figure out is to try it out. So cool, Joe. Thanks for joining us, man. Really excited for this auction. Our first NFT. It's an honor for this to be our first NFT. We've had you on before, but want to start from the beginning. Could you just tell us what are Rare Pepes, and maybe start with the original Pepe the Frog meme?
Yeah, I guess I think I'm gonna have to turn this off. Hold on. Yeah, I gotta turn that off. Sorry.
All right. If anyone's in the getting the feedback, if anyone's in the banter channel, anyone in the banter channel, just join on YouTube. You got the link there. It's pinned in the up top. All right. So that's all right. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I guess I was gonna start off the meme. The Rare Pepe meme was I think something that started on I think like old 4chan groups. And it was a particular like board within 4chan where you couldn't post the same picture more than once. Like it just like wouldn't let you do it. So people had to, like, if you're going to make a meme, you'd have to like make a different meme. Like you could never post the same one more than once. So that kind of came into where you'd have to use rare Pepes. If you're going to post Pepe, you have to use a Rare Pepe. And so that was kind of like the idea, and then it kind of morphed into the Rare Pepes that you didn't post were actually even more rare because nobody had seen them before. So now you've got like the real Rare Pepes that no one's ever even seen. That's how rare they are. And there was a, I guess somebody that put a CD of Rare Pepes up on eBay for like, and it got up to like $90,000 or something before eBay shut it down. But this was in like 2014, maybe 2015. You can go to
Wow.
knowyourmeme.com. It's actually a really good website for the history of memes just in general. And they have Rare Pepe like as a separate from Pepe the Frog. So Pepe the Frog was like a character that an artist named Matt Fury made. I think it was even in like the mid 2000s and like a comic strip. And then somebody posted that a piece of the comic strip onto some, I think it was 4chan, but it would have been like an online forum. And then it morphed into like these other versions of Pepe. So it just kind of became like, it almost became like any green frog was Pepe at that point. Like, and then where Rare Pepes came in was people started making like different versions that they would only post once or wouldn't show anyone or would watermark. So it just became this kind of joke. Like the ones you didn't show to anybody were the rarest ones. So what we did, what Rare Pepes were, actually what Mike did, and then a couple of us kind of jumped in and joined him right from the start, right after he posted his Rare Pepe, was to basically call tokens Rare Pepes, right? And this was before the term NFT even existed, so no one really had a term for what to call like a token that was just collectible in and of itself. So there was a project called Spells of Genesis that I think was the first to actually do it and say like this token equals this like trading card. But at the time they were using it as a game. It was like a game item. It was just like I mean, those existed well before Bitcoin and blockchains. It's like you play like World of Warcraft and you have like an inventory with stuff in it. And they basically took that idea and said, hey, the stuff that you have in the game are actually going to be these tokens, these blockchain tokens, which they're also issued on Bitcoin using Counterparty, which is just a platform built on Bitcoin for making tokens. So Spells of Genesis did it in 2015, made these game tokens, and a couple other games kind of follow their lead. And I think it was the same guys that were helping. It was Adam Levine who did the Let's Talk Bitcoin podcast. He was actually, I think, part of he had a company that was like helping these Spells of Genesis, and then there's another one, Forces of Will. It was a card game, kind of making these game tokens, like gamified token things. What made Rare Pepe unique, and what Mike did in September 2016 when he dropped it on us, was he made these cards that didn't have a game. It was just these things that were collectible for the sake of being collectible, and at the time, people didn't really know what to make of it. Like it was kind of this assumption, like, of course there's a game coming, right? Like there's some sort of thing I can use this token for. But there wasn't. And it really was just, he created this Nakamoto card, and he said this image equals this token that I created. And the cool thing about Counterparty, it has an exchange built into the platform. It's like it's an on-chain market. So he put them for sale on the platform, and anyone could buy them. So people started buying them, and I got one from the initial drop, I guess you'd say, and I've gotten there's 300 of them. So I've over time tried to kind of collect a couple more. I don't have that many, but what I wanted to do was, I thought it would be cool to kind of take this first idea of crypto art. Really, I think it was the disconnecting the token from the game that was the real kind of next step into, and I think what we see in NFTs today, right? Like, because like the big ones that are selling for tons of tons of money, like the Beeple, the $69 million NFT. I mean, that's not a game token, right? It's a piece of art. It's a piece of crypto art. So that's what these tokens have come to be, and I think that's one of the really popular applications. So that was kind of the innovation that Mike did. So I took that and kind of went one step further and made it physical again. Kind of took it out of the digital nature and put it on an open dime. And this was actually an idea that I think Mike in Space, who's a Bitcoin personality, and you've probably seen on Twitter, like postured the idea of what if we put Rare Pepes on open dimes, and then I did it, and I did it before the Rare Digital Art Festival, which was like the first NFT conference, I guess you could call it. It was a free event and there was maybe 400 or 500 people that showed up through the course of the day. And I did a presentation. It's on YouTube. You can watch it. But I presented the physical, the idea of making a physical Pepe. It wasn't this one. It wasn't a Rare Pepe, because at the time I was a little hesitant to let go of any of my Rare Pepes. But that idea kind of was presented there. And as far as I know, like, it's really this idea of putting Pepes on an open dime device is like, that's a very Bitcoin thing. I think you don't really see like anything from the other NFTs that are issued on Ethereum or other chains having this ability to do something like this with the private key. And for those people that don't know, I mean, what an open dime is, I think probably most people that have found their way here know what it is. But it basically is a physical device that holds a private key that is stored within the device, so nobody knows what it is until you actually physically break the device in a special way that reveals the private key and allows you to move whatever's on it. So in this case, it would be you'd be able to move the Rare Pepe off of it. But so this is a digital the first piece of digital crypto art made physical. So it's kind of a quick rundown of how we got here.
Yeah, man, so much history in this piece right here. So just to recap, Rare Pepe may be like one of the like original memes of the internet. You mentioned 4chan. I think it was even on like MySpace. Like, I think there's a great documentary, Feels Good Man, I believe it's called, which anyone should watch, even if you're not into Rare Pepes, just because it's such an interesting perspective on internet memes. So this thing's been around from like day one of social media, and has had a whole evolution. That's just fascinating to observe. And then this is so interesting. Like, I always wondered with the Rare Pepes why they had this kind of card game look to it. And my first question was like, is there a game? And I guess I've heard like maybe there's going to be a game, but I never heard the story that it came from the kind of concept of Spells of Genesis and the original NFTs, before they were called NFTs, original like digital works or digital playing cards on a blockchain, and that Mike in this case just minted Rare Pepe as if it was for a game, but it wasn't for a game. So in that way, it kind of became the first, maybe you could say the first NFT artwork.
Yeah, I mean, it has the aesthetic of a card, but I think it's like, it's easy to look back now and say, well, why didn't he make it look like something else? Like, why does it have to look like a card? But at the time, nobody saw tokens as something that you could collect outside of a game that just existed for the sake of existing, right? That it was a piece of art. There is an artist that had this idea, like tokens as art, but it was more of a commentary on like what future what the future would hold for like companies issuing their own tokens and stuff. So there is this like kind of loose concept of tokens as art, but none of the like what you see today with crypto art, with the like this token equals this picture, like that concept hadn't been really flushed out. And I mean, I'll admit, when Spells of Genesis came out, and that was in 2015, I was like not really into it. I didn't see it, right? I didn't get that those tokens could be trading cards. Like you could just treat tokens like trading cards. And it wasn't. It took me like basically almost a year to kind of accept that idea and actually like really start to. The more you think about it, once you realize, oh, this could work, then you start to think of all the other possibilities and like what tokens could be. And one of the cool things with the Rare Pepe project in general. Was that over time, like, so if you look at the Rare Pepe directory, starting with Series 1, which is, I mean, this is the first one, the Series 1 card 1. That's what Rare Pepe is. And each series has 50 Pepes in it. And you go kind of series to series and start to look, they start to change what they look like, right? So about 20 Pepes in, someone was like, oh, I could make a GIF that's a Pepe. And now it's like a little video. That's cool. And then you get 25 cards in and someone goes, you know what? I don't even need to use this template. I'm just going to make an image of what a Pepe would look like. And then you'll see the card template disappears for a little bit. So it's pretty cool how you see it evolve, and that the whole just like concepts evolve over time into what they are. And if you look at the later series Rare Pepes, like they really are like very good artistically. Like I love all the old Rare Pepes, but I'm under no illusion that they're like these artistic masterpieces. I mean, they're very like internet meme culture, like kind of crappy paintbrush, like put them together kind of thing. But after a while, you start seeing like actual like very good artwork being done as people kind of jumped in, and the whole so what this Rare Pepe project was basically Mike made a Rare Pepe and everyone else wanted to make Rare Pepes too. And which is fine. I mean, you can do it on your own, but I had built a wallet for counterparty tokens, actually for like trading Spells of Genesis cards. And I saw this opportunity when Mike posted the Pepe and everybody kind of got really into making more of them, that I should take that wallet and kind of transition it to an application specific Rare Pepe wallet. And that's what I ended up doing. And then at that point, now I'm running this wallet. I don't need a bunch of like Nazi Pepes to start showing up in it, and then I have to answer for it, right? Because it's my website. We created this kind of like loose set of rules, and at first it was just Mike. Mike did everything, and they all went through Mike. Mike decided if it was a Rare Pepe or not. He was the chief scientist, and then it got to be too much for him, so he trained a few of us, and we became scientists too, so that we could help curate these Pepes. But that's really all it was, and we had this loose set of rules to basically make them safe for work, and yeah, it had to be like certain image size and stuff like that. But beyond that, it was pretty free reign as long as you kept with the theme. So we did that for 18 months. And then we got to the point where it just early 2018, we all have hobbies and jobs and stuff outside of and interests beyond just curating Pepes 24 hours a day. So we just closed the directory and let it stand with what was there. And I think we made the right decision. I probably would have closed it even earlier than where we did, but it's now it kind of stands as this kind of monument to this prehistory of NFTs before really the term NFT even existed. It wasn't until over a year after Rare Pepes came out that term was even coined. So it's there. I think they're very. It's a big place in history that they hold, and being on Bitcoin, I think, is something that is also like important to understand in the history of these things, like where they came from. And Counterparty, the platform they're built on, is running smooth and has been for 7 years at this point. So it's a project similar to Bitcoin. It's open source. It uses a kind of federated node architecture where nodes don't have to talk to each other. They just talk to Bitcoin. And as long as everyone's running the same software, then everything looks the same. And you can still issue, you can make Pepes. You can't get them certified rare by the Rare Pepe Foundation anymore, but you could certainly make them if you wanted to. But yeah, it's still this kind of like, it feels like a very kind of like underground platform still. Like it's like this undiscovered space that even with all the NFT mania and stuff going on, like once you find your way in there and you realize kind of how much history is there, it's like a very unique place to be. So I think only the best, only the most curious find their way into the Rare Pepe world.
Yeah, I think that obviously there's tons of NFT activity on Ethereum, and a lot of people who are even consider themselves really into NFTs probably don't realize this history. And it's definitely a monument and kind of the grassroots of this whole thing. And for anyone who hasn't spent time looking at the Rare Pepes, like you gotta check them out. Go to there's a few sites that show all of the Pepes. Rare Pepe directory is one. Just check out the artwork. Like some of this stuff is just totally fantastic, and right, like bordering on the line of certainly satirical, controversial, but doesn't get into a lot of the like toxic, extreme nature of what was co-opted for the Pepe the Frog meme in general. So like just some of this artwork, like it doesn't get any better. Like and it has a real soul to it, right? We're like today on in the NFT art space, you have a lot of talented artists for sure that are creating just amazing artworks, and they've taken this evolution of going from images to GIFs to video and just doing like totally immersive experiences, but doesn't have the same kind of the feel as the Pepes do, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very unique time. I think it was certainly really fun to be a part of, and like played a part in how it developed. But yeah, we were all learning together. I mean, that was the real thing. I mean, no one had really done, outside of making these like collectible game items that you could use in games. No one had really gone so far as to start making art and just selling these tokens as art kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, we experimented in a lot of ways. I introduced the idea of bonus content where you would basically, your wallet would sign a message proving that you controlled an address that held a certain token, and then you could access this like special area that only that the artist only wanted holders of the token to get to. So like DJ Pepe is one that Skrilla made, and he's got a whole and this evolving playlist that like DJ Pepe has, and the only way you can get access to that is to own a DJ Pepe. And like I'll like if I'm sitting on my computer and I want to put on some music, like I will just open my Rare Pepe wallet, go over to my DJ Pepe, and just boot up the playlist, because he's constantly putting like stuff that you can't listen to anywhere else on there. And it's really cool. It's the whole concept of having this like this community of holders of a specific like NFT or token is pretty cool. And you see people like experimenting with that now and doing that. Like a lot of the things you see coming out now is like we experimented with like 4 or 5 years ago on a lot of this stuff. So it is nice. It's very validating, like in my opinion, to see how the NFT mania has gone. Because we felt it back then. Like we knew we were onto something. with this whole idea of crypto art and collectible like crypto tokens. So it is nice to see. It's funny to see people too get so like triggered by it too.
Right.
I think so. I think you see that a lot in the Bitcoin community because everything must be a scam. It's not Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, like, people are going to scam if they're going to scam, and it doesn't matter what type of token it is, right? But these things, like, there's a lot of genuine collectors out there that really just want to collect these things, and I'm one of them. Like, I love collecting. And it's, for me, it's rare. It's only Rare Pepes, but I still collect them. I'll still go on the wallet and see what people have put up on the market and try to find ones that I don't have. It's harder and harder to find ones that I don't have, but yeah, it's great. I got it. I think that's why I was able to appreciate it even in 2016 when Mike dropped this. Is like, I like collecting them, so I understand it. Like, I understand that there is a market. Like, people like to collect things. It's like, people collect all kinds of things. Like, I collect floppy disks. Like, I collect vaporwave albums on floppy disks. Like, that's such a, like, so many people would be like, that's the stupidest thing ever. And it's like, I get it. It's not for you, but I like collecting them. So yeah, it's, people like weird stuff. I like to collect weird things. So, and I know I'm not unique in that. I know other people like to collect weird things too. So there's nothing weirder than Rare Pepes on Bitcoin.
Yep. I have to give a shout out to DJ Pepe, because it feels like the music NFTs are just becoming hot now. And you can see right here, it's, on the Bitcoin blockchain, 5 years ago, Rare Skrilla dropped DJ Pepe, which I believe was the first music NFT that had exclusive content to the token holders.
Yeah.
So real precedence there. But yeah, I love what you're saying about the collector mindset, because obviously people like to collect all types of things, whether it's baseball cards, special rocks. I mean, anything rare and aesthetically pleasing, basically. And it seems like the big kind of breakthrough with NFTs is that this desire to collect extends to digital goods, right? Like, especially when there's proven scarcity around them, that's verified by public blockchains. And it doesn't always make sense, right? Like, it doesn't make sense to collect baseball cards either, really. So, like, if you're looking for rationality in this thing, that's you're gonna think it's ridiculous, but reality is people want these things. And once you get a taste of the Pepes, I can tell you from personal experience, like, you want more of them.
You do. I mean, that was kind of like, there's things that I thought about when building the wallet that would make like psychologically make you want to collect them more. So like having the idea of a series, and you wanting the earlier series as opposed to the later series, like, that was a conscious decision to, like, limit that to a specific amount. And also, and I took this from a wallet that was, I think it was Book of Orbs. I think it was the Spells of Genesis, like, wallet. They would have grayed out the cards that you didn't have, right? And that makes you kind of want them more, because you can see them, but you can't quite see them. And that, like, obviously you could look at the image if you want, but you own it when you open your wallet up and you see that, like, the image filled out with the quantity that you own underneath. So yeah, a lot of that stuff I think just kind of helps. And I kind of, like, roped myself into that. It makes me want them more. So I would go in and collect them too. And I think another unique thing about Rare Pepes was that we weren't making any money off, like, the Rare Pepe Foundation and the Rare Pepe scientists. Like, we were just curators because that was a necessity. We needed to have some curation. So that was, we curated out of necessity, and basically what we made you do is you had to burn Pepe Cash, which was actually, it's one of the earlier Rare Pepes that was made in a really high issuance and became the kind of, like, de facto currency of Pepe trading. But you had to burn some Pepe Cash, so that was, like, our anti-spam mechanism. So you didn't waste our time and send us a Pepe that you didn't have anything kind of riding on because you burned this Pepe cash to be able to submit it. So, I mean, the platforms you see now, I mean, they're all businesses, right? They're all making money off. They're making a certain percentage of sales, or however else. I think that's probably the main kind of cash flow mechanism. But they might do like you pay a certain amount if you hit certain thresholds on drops or whatever. But I mean, I built Rare Pepe for myself, or Rare Pepe wallet for myself to trade Rare Pepes. So that's why I keep it running, so that I can use it. And you can use it's built on Counterparty, so you can, there's other Counterparty wallets available, like there's other Bitcoin wallets, and you can move your Pepes around that way. But yeah, I think the whole experience with Rare Pepe wallet and kind of trading Pepes through there, going on the Telegram chat, and kind of people selling Pepes over the counter on the Telegram chat, and stuff like that. It's a whole kind of experience in and of itself. And it really was in my opinion, that was the beginning of crypto art. Some of the, like, there's even some artists now that are like somewhat prominent in the crypto art movement that's got their start with Rare Pepes. So Robness, who's a big one in the kind of the Ethereum NFT world, he was a Rare Pepe guy in the beginning. So it really was, and it was a global thing too. It was pretty cool. There was a lot of people, like we had a contingent from like Japan that would make Pepes. There was like a few Russian guys that would make Pepe. There's like some Indian guys that would do, like there was this Eastern European one woman that made Pepes, and also would draw like these full size like oil canvas paintings of like Pepe and stuff too. Like it was really cool. It was fun to have everybody in there, and kind of all, so it really was like this global thing that was happening end of 2016, 2017, and end of 2017 we had the bull market, and everybody found out about NFTs through CryptoKitties. They were actually the ones that coined the term NFT. So yeah, everyone got exposed to it there, and then you had the kind of the downturn, and everyone forgot about it for a while. And then during the bear market is when all these Ethereum platforms, and a lot of guys that I had met in early 2018 at that Rare Art Festival, that first kind of NFT event, and they just, I mean, in a bear market, there's nothing else to do but build stuff. So they tried their hand at starting these businesses, doing them on Ethereum, and then once the bull market kind of started kicking up again, everyone kind of discovered these things, and that's where you see the NFT mania now. And it's crazy to see like Saturday Night Live doing like a whole sketch, like song devoted to an NFT. Is like, it's funny. Like we used to have all these memes in the Rare Pepe group about like what Rare Pepes were going to be one day, and like this like ubiquitous thing among like normal life. And it's like a lot of those like memes like really were predictive of the future. Like, and in a way, like NFTs are just, they're all Rare Pepes. Like, so it's funny because I use that term like if I'm talking to like my friends or like my wife or something, and I'll be like, yeah, and then a Rare Pepe just sold for $69 million on auction. And it's like, that's just kind of the term I use for NFTs in general, because that's just kind of what they were. And that was really I think the thing that helped people to fully grasp this concept of like what this art token, collectible token thing is, even because the Rare Pepe meme kind of lent itself to that, right? Because people were buying Rare Pepes like it was a joke. And then all of a sudden, like through like using like Bitcoin and onto Ethereum and these other blockchains, like the ability to actually have a Rare Pepe, like they really are rare. And I think that just helped. It was like that bridge that people needed. And we grew pretty, like within a couple months, there was the hundreds of people in there that were active in the Telegram group, like making Pepes. And you could follow if you go to Rare Pepe directory, each Pepe tells you the date it was issued. So you can kind of watch the progress of it. So it was really fun. It was something that I was like, I mean, for those of us around in 2016, like mid 2016, early fall, like it was kind of like everyone's kind of bummed out. Like we were all waiting for Bitcoin to start climbing again. And it was just kind of moving along like 300, 400, 500, back to 400. Just kind of sitting there. And Rare Pepes, that's why a lot of the early ones are, yeah, see, like right here, like this is like making a joke that it's a scam, right? It's like,
Right.
so I think Theo made this one. But yeah, I mean, it was one of the early Pepes are like plays on stuff that was happening in crypto at the time. Like
Right.
there's like a hernia Pepe, and it's like Mike Hearn's rage quit from Bitcoin
Yeah.
in a Pepe. Yeah, I think that's a hard fork Pepe, that one at the bottom there. So it was like
Yeah, there's that
that's
cultural
not a
reference.
hard fork. So that's not referencing Bitcoin Cash. That's
Right.
referencing the DAO,
Yeah.
the Ethereum hard fork. So that was that it's kind of funny, like the context, like you might see that now and immediately think, oh, it's a hard fork. Like obviously it has Vitalik on there and stuff, but yeah, so because this was early, I mean, this was 2016. So this
Yeah.
was the DAO had happened, I think, over the summer 2016, maybe. Um, but yeah, so you can almost get this like crypto history by like looking through some of the old series, the old Pepe series and stuff. So
Yeah, they're all kind of symbols of the cultural, what was going on in Bitcoin and broader crypto culture at the time. It's like a time capsule of sorts, and it's all on, they're all on Bitcoin blocks, right? So dates are verified, and you can follow the whole chain.
yeah, so the images aren't, but the counterparty is built on Bitcoin. So and why I say that, and I like to kind of like drive that point home, is like all the inputs going into a counterparty node, like it's just Bitcoin transactions. So all a counterparty node does is it interprets the data and builds a token database, essentially. The images are, I mean, you can certainly download them. I actually, I created, which is one of the things that I'm going to put in with this piece that's being auctioned, is I created a thing called Pepe Chain, which basically just it takes all the images, takes a hash of all the images, takes a list of the asset names, so what's certified rare, which ones are in the Rare Pepe directory, and it hashes all those, and it builds a Merkle tree and a root hash, basically what a block header in a Bitcoin block has, and then those Merkle root hashes are written into Bitcoin. I had Mike broadcast them from the origin address that made the Rare Pepe. So there is like, if you have all the images, then you can verify that they are in fact Rare Pepes, like they're the correct images. And I put Pepe Chain on like archival grade CDRs and handed them out at an event in early 2019, or like an NFT event. And I know a few people have downloaded them as torrents, and so I call it it's better than IPFS because it's actually decentralized. It's people literally have these archive CDs like in areas all around the world that have Rare Pepes on them that we can keep in deep storage in case one day we need. They're all traces of Rare Pepes have been removed from the internet, and someone can boot up their Pepe chain and repopulate all the images and prove that they're rare. So yeah, I kind of did it as a joke almost, but it is kind of funny, like, because it does work. I was always in the camp that it doesn't really matter if the image is hooked to the token. It's like, you collected it, so you know what it looks like, right? So, but that's kind of like my take on that thing, which is I would say isn't in the majority, but Yeah, so you can basically I'm including the Rare Pepe directory with the Rare Pepe, so and the ability to verify that it's that the images are correct, the Pepes that are in the directory are the right ones that were certified rare. So you've got this physical Rare Pepe is kind of the whole Rare Pepe project itself in like a time capsule form. So it's unique for sure. It's unique even in the NFT world, something like this. So, but I like it. I think it kind of like really represents like that moment of time in history that kind of got us to where we are today with the NFT mania that we all see that's still going on. I mean, you see Tom Brady just created a company for like sports NFTs and stuff. It's like that would have been a meme in 2016. Like
Right.
that would have been a Rare Pepe meme. Like Tom Brady makes Rare Pepes. Like, and it's like it's literally like the New York Stock Exchange. Like what was it earlier this week or late last week said they're making NFTs now. Like
Wow, I didn't hear that one.
Yeah, it's completely ridiculous. So they really do have their origin on Bitcoin. I think to me, it would be nice if I think that was recognized a little bit more than it is, because it's easy that the narrative, it's easy to kind of bend the narrative and say this is an Ethereum thing that started on Ethereum and that's why it's stupid. And I don't like Ethereum, so I don't like NFTs and stuff. And it's like, no, that's a Bitcoin idea. Like this was all started on Bitcoin, and they kind of just took the ball and rolled with it a little more. And build companies around it. So that's kind of why you see where we are today. But a lot of history, a lot of history in just going through all the Rare Pepes and going through the directory. And there's another website called pepewisdom.com. It's actually pretty cool because you can, if you go to a Pepe, you can click a button to see all other Pepes issued by the same address. So you can see like other similar ones by that artist. So it's pretty cool, but it's hundreds of artists. It's
Right.
there's 1,774 Pepes. But definitely artists would make multiple Pepes. I mean, because once you start making Pepes, it's hard to not want to make more of them. So
Of course.
Yeah, but there's definitely hundreds of artists from all over the world, and you can see the different style. Like this is a Japanese artist, and like it's cool to see those styles throughout the directory and kind of like how everything evolved. Yeah, I still see ones. I still will pull one up and be like, I've never seen that before. Like somehow I've just like gone this far. It's like there's just enough that even if you've been involved in it since day one, there's still like maybe there was 800 messages in the Telegram chat when someone posted that one, and I just scrolled past all of them instead of catching up or something, and somehow missed it or forgot about it. But yeah, there's all sorts of them.
Yeah, so let's talk about that because there is still a very much active community around Rare Pepes, and they're being traded on different exchanges as well as auctioned off Telegram groups. And you said there's 1,700 plus of them. Looks like 36 different series. I think you said 50 per series, and they all have kind of different attributes, right? Like all have different amounts issued. So can you just tell us like what makes, in your opinion, of course this is subjective, like what makes a Rare Pepe valuable?
I think kind of like I mean, obviously the number that issued, I think is probably the first thing. The single, there's 9 single issue Pepes. And so those are more valuable just because they're harder to get. But I think kind of just like the mimetic power of the Pepe itself. Like there's one called Rare Pepe. That's
what
in
series
series one.
Okay.
And it has this like Howard the Duck aesthetic, like this like kind of like like you could imagine it real. Like it's like this like very like it's kind of wild. You should pull it up if you go to series
Yeah.
one. Yeah, but so that one's like I think there's 1,500 of those. So normally that one wouldn't be like if you're going strictly by issuance, it wouldn't be as popular. But because it's so unique and um, it's just like
How can you not love that?
yeah, it's it's completely ridiculous. Um, yeah, so it's like okay, so there's 1,000 of those. It wasn't 1,500. It was 1,000. So we instituted rules. I think like halfway through series three, because all of a sudden people started making single issue and super low issue Pepes because they're more valuable, right? Because they were just trying, but more because they wanted to have these more valuable Pepes, so they were making them all. But then it was less fun because part of the fun of it is trading them. And if there's only one, then only one person can have it. It's not as fun.
Right.
Because it's another thing to remember is back then these things weren't really worth very much, if anything, right? Like, so people would sell them for a couple dollars a piece or whatever. And I remember I sold a Jong Pepe, which is Kim Jong Il, as a
Uh-huh.
Pepe, and there were three of them, and I sold it on the DEX, which is the on chain exchange within Counterparty, and I sold it I think for like 50 XCP, which at the time was like $150, and that was like I couldn't believe, like I was beside myself that I sold this like uh, this token. Um, and I actually bought all three, not knowing that there were only three. So I
Wow.
saw it come up, and there was three for sale, and they were like $1 a piece. And I was like, oh well, I'll just buy all three. And then I was like, oh shit, like I bought all of them. So I gave one away to Dan Darkpill. I mean, he's like a character that appears and disappears on Twitter sometimes. He's kind of like this like Bitcoin like character. Um, but he was involved in Pepe's early on, and I remember I gave him a John Pepe, and then he turned around and sold it for like $100 or something. So it was like I was like, oh wow, like that was a lot. And I sold mine. It was like $150. I was like, this is insane. Like this doesn't make any sense. And now like people selling NFTs for 5, 6 figures. I mean, the $69 million sales don't happen that often, but like you see every day you'll see $1 million sale, and it's like, yeah, like that's insane. I mean, it is kind of still insane, but like $100 at the time was like this crazy thing. So we weren't looking at it like if we wanted them all to be valuable, they would have all been single issue probably,
Right.
right? But the idea was we were trading them. Everyone wanted to be able to get like I want to be able to collect the whole set. Like I want to be able to like get all of them. So when people started doing single issue ones, it was harder to do that. So we changed the rules, and you had to create at least 100. So you look like midway through series three, and then through to the end, they at least had 100
Gotcha.
issuance. So those were kind of some of the rules that we put in to just make it more, I guess, inclusive as a community to allow more people to trade Pepes. So yeah, it was fun and making like just thinking back to it's funny how short it was. Like it was only 18 months that the Rare Pepe directory was open and we were making them, and it was at this point over 3 years ago was when we closed it. So um, it was a fun time for sure. It's different. It's fun now. I mean, it's bull market. Everything's fun, right? Everybody's
Right.
making money if they hold crypto. So, but this was a day. It was like a different kind of excitement and fun. Like we were on. Like we knew there was this. Like we were onto something big, and we weren't quite sure what it was and what it was going to
Right.
evolve into. But it turns out we were onto something. So it's to see what it is now is definitely validating.
Yeah, I love hearing the grassroots story, and comparing that those early beginnings to what it's become now is just it's crazy, and I think it just makes this the Pepe is that much more special. But you know, you said it was over an 18-month period, but it's still going on today, right? And Pepe will not die. And Counterparty is still going on today. You've talked a little bit about how Counterparty works. Are there any kind of, you know, is there active development on Counterparty? Any kind of like new developments that you want to share?
There was a pretty big update a few months ago. I mean, it's kind of like Bitcoin, like it works, and there's not like a sudden rush to build a bunch of new features into it. And the uptime, I mean, like I said, is January 2014 when it launched, and I can only think of 2 times in that history where there was a bug that brought it down for more than, I don't know, an hour or so. So it's got a like great uptime built on Bitcoin. I think it's a much more lasting way to build a smart contract, where it kind of like flips the idea of it's an off-chain smart contract, if you want to think of it like that. Like the smart contract is the software itself, is that federated node software, and then it takes its inputs from Bitcoin. But you kind of have the same social consensus problem or feature, I guess, that Bitcoin has, right? Everyone needs to run the same software. Everyone runs the same, but everyone's incentivized to run the same thing. So yeah, I think Counterparty, I think we've got, it's got a solid base. There's a core group of us that want to see it continue. It makes more sense to see it continue, the more value that it accrues, from these kind of being like vintage NFTs almost. But there's people that are still that are issuing NFTs on Counterparty now, and starting their projects on it now. I think it's a real solid base. I think having the ability to kind of address any bugs that might come up or anything in the software itself, and not have to like deploy a new on-chain contract or something like that, is kind of a better architecture for how to build a smart contract. But I mean, I think there's certainly a place for like not all NFTs need to live forever, right? So like art, like not all pieces of art are carved into stone, right? So like they might have a life, and maybe Ethereum lasts 20 more years, and then people migrate off into a new thing, or things change, or like it's okay. Maybe it's okay to have a piece of art that only lasts that long. Or and another weird thing with like NFTs is like they're really it's really a contract between the I guess you'd say the issuer and the collector, where if I was an issuer and say I created 100 editions of something, and I decided that I was gonna move them to another chain or something like that, move to wherever. Like with Counterparty, it doesn't matter that an issuer would decide to do that. I can still trade the old versions, even if they were to maybe create a new smart contract on Ethereum and say, no, these are the 100 things, and everyone with one of the original 100 has this claim period. And you can, I mean, this is how projects have done it in the past, not with NFTs, but with like just tokens in general. They've like said, okay, there's this claim period. You can claim if you hold a token on Ethereum and we're going to move it to EOS or something, then and then what will happen is on Ethereum, they can just lock that contract, and now you can't interact with it anymore. That's like a big difference with Counterparty, where you can't prevent somebody from running Counterparty software, right? So you can't, and no, there would be no stomach for pushing an update to Counterparty that like wiped out the balance of this one particular issuer's token. Like people just wouldn't run that software in the same way that like people wouldn't run Bitcoin software that changes the issuance amount or something like that, or blacklists like within the protocol has a like blacklist address or something. It's just like not really in the ethos of it. So I think in a way that's how Counterparty kind of has this staying power, I guess you'd
Right.
say, like as opposed to having an NFT within a smart contract on an on-chain smart contract platform, which is basically what most of the other options are, like something like Ethereum or something like that. So I think we'll be talking about Rare Pepes for years. I'm holding on to like my collection. Besides this one Rare Pepe that I'm letting go. Yeah, I'm confident that Bitcoin will still be here. So because Bitcoin will be here, my Rare Pepes will still be here.
Right. Yeah. And the way my understanding works of Counterparty is the kind of the metadata of the Counterparty token is embedded in a Bitcoin transaction. So as long as as long as Bitcoin's still running, that information is still there, and it only takes one Counterparty node to kind of query that metadata and surface it. And plus, you have the what you included here at this piece with like the digital directory of the certified rare pepes, and it's even decentralized to a certain extent because you distributed the software and hardware devices and distributed them. So it's sounds pretty immutable, right? There's no getting rid of this as long as Bitcoin's around.
Yeah, and I mean that was kind of that's the whole. That's really the ethos of it. Like I'm a Bitcoiner. Like that's part of the kind of like values of decentralization and choice, I guess, as a collector. Like it's my choice what version of Counterparty I use, right? So it's my choice what version of Bitcoin I use. So it's really within that whole kind of values and ethos of Bitcoin, and that's what I think Rare Pepes represents that really well. I think it was just this experimenting with scarcity and yeah, user created scarcity, but once it's created, it's kind of locked in, and you have these tokens, these rare tokens that somebody created, and it's cool. It's really fun to see how it's evolved to where we are now, and how people are even just it's almost like it's introducing people to crypto. Like I think there's, because of this NFT mania and it becoming such like a mainstream idea, it's actually it's a conduit through which people kind of discover cryptocurrency by going through NFTs, and I think they're very valuable to the ecosystem in general and the growth of just cryptocurrency. And I think it's only going to help kind of people realize that they do have choice, and they can you can do whatever you want on the internet, and as far as like buying these different crypto tokens, and yeah, and I think a lot of people will find their way to Bitcoin when you go through the bull bear cycles like we've done, and you see who's the kind of the 800-pound gorilla on the block, right? So I think that's it. It's an indirect way kind of brings people to Bitcoin. So it's definitely an interesting offshoot of Bitcoin history. The whole Rare Pepe, the whole time of Rare Pepe creation, and then now you can still trade them. I mean, it certainly was dormant in this past bear market. There wasn't a ton of activity. I mean, prices were down. People didn't want to spend their crypto that had lost 80% in value, and but it goes in waves, just like we see with crypto in general, with the kind of cycles of bull and bear markets. And in a way, the last bull market was driven, I mean, a lot of ICOs, but that's where NFTs kind of start. That's when we all heard about CryptoKitties, and for anyone that hadn't heard of Rare Pepes prior to that, it was almost the canary in the mine. And it was kind of funny because I was talking to somebody in like mid 2019 when we started to see some excitement on the Ethereum NFT side and starting to sell things for a few $100s and maybe $1,000. And it was kind of like, oh, wow. Like, and I just remember talking like, this is the beginning of the next bull market. Like
Mhm.
this is people getting comfortable spending their money again. And they seeing that like, so, and it was, I mean, I didn't anticipate a pandemic and that kind of like accelerating it the way it did, but, yeah, there's a link. There's this whether people that like NFTs or not don't want to admit there's the link between them and uh, the cryptocurrency. I think is here to stay. I don't think they're going anywhere. I think they're just this non-currency application of digital scarcity. So I think they're here to stay. I think people will spend a lot of money and then not be able to get a lot of money probably for like the $69 million piece. Like might not be able to sell it for $69 million in the next bear market, but who knows, the next bull market comes around. I mean, the Homer Pepe was the classic example of that. That sold at an auction at that Rare Art Festival event in early 2018, and it was the highest selling NFT on auction. It was a single issue Rare Pepe, and it sold for just under $40,000. And it was kind of funny because it was going into the bear market. So,
Right.
I mean, at the time we didn't know we were in a bear market, or we were about to be in one. But for the next year or two, there's no way Peter, who had bought that for $40,000, was going to be able to sell it for anywhere close to $40,000. But he wasn't in any rush. He liked owning his rare single issue Pepe, which I mean I'm certainly jealous of. I don't have any single issue Pepes, so um, but he was able to sell that with when everyone got interested in NFTs again and realized the kind of cultural significance of Rare Pepes and the Homer Pepe in general. I mean, it was like the most expensive NFT at the time. And kind of, I talked to a few artists that are kind of big in the Ethereum crypto art scene that will say that like that auction and seeing that auction was kind of this eye-opening moment for them because that event that we had, it was crypto people and it was art people that showed up. Um, and I think it was an eye-opening experience for a lot of people when that Homer Pepe sold for $40,000, and people saw that these things could have value. Like people do want them. Like even though they're all digital, 100% digital, they still want them. And there's another collector that decided that he wanted that Homer Pepe more than Peter was willing to hold on to it for, and was able to sell it for almost like I think it was like 8 times as much. I mean, it was just over $300,000. So
Wow.
it just goes to show. I mean, this stuff does come in waves, but um, it's it is it is very, especially if NFTs become kind of this ubiquitous thing in society, and everybody just accepts that there's these NFTs, and the New York Stock Exchange is gonna sell these collectible NFTs, and then yeah, the significance of these Rare Pepes is huge. I mean, it really was the kind of start of that breaking away from the digital world where they were just these digital items in a digital game, and then kind of breaking away from the game and saying no, they're just they're collectible for the sake of collecting them. They're art. They're crypto art. So that's kind of where we are with it. But
Yeah, ever since I've been involved in Bitcoin and I guess crypto in general, it's like the common meme has been win mainstream adoption. And it's like so clear, like this is it. Like NFTs are it, man. Like everybody's talking about the NFTs now. And most of them have no clue that, the fundamentals of the public blockchains that underlie them. But like you said, like that's the gateway, right? Like we got a big bid in here that I have to cover. Look, Jeff, I have the Lightning for 2 million Sats. We're over 1,000 USD now. So just took out Vizik's bid of 300,000, and we got like a yat or an emoji here pending too. So we got some activity here, but yeah, like mainstream adoption is here, and like you said, like the people getting into it, they have no idea what it's all about, but they will. Like they'll figure it out. Like once they understand the value of having their collectibles or art on a blockchain, they'll understand the value of having their money on a blockchain. So I think it is kind of the gateway drug for the masses to get into, what this movement's really all about, which is about, self sovereignty and free money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right, and that was something that I think what made us so excited when people kind of started getting into Rare Pepes, and it like really starting to catch on among just kind of everyone in crypto at the time. And it was it was Consensus 2017. I remember Fred Wilson was asked about Rare Pepes, and it was kind of this like funny moment where you see the prices starting to tick up, and I think it was like maybe Bitcoin $2,000, maybe around then $3,000, and then kind of people are starting to get excited again. And they're like, "What are these things? What are Rare Pepes?" And it was at the time, and I think to give him a lot of credit, he saw it too, and I know he was in. I'm pretty sure he invested in the company that did CryptoKitties that then turned into Dapper Labs, which did Flow, which is now doing huge business, right, with the NBA Top Shots. So yeah, I think once you see it, once you see that, like, hey, this is how people are going to, like, this is how they're going to really learn about blockchains and digital scarcity and why Bitcoin is important, kind of among all the blockchains. And I think you're going to start to see some of that. I read an article in the Atlantic, I think, about somebody who bought like he bought an NFT, I think, on OpenSea, and it was like a fake, like it was a fake rare, which is like a meme within the Rare Pepe world, fake rares. And he bought a fake rare on OpenSea, and then I guess OpenSea probably got something from the artist that, like, the saying like this is a forgery, they can't use our art, and they removed, because these platforms are companies, right? So they need to remove these things when they come up. So the article in the Atlantic was about this guy that like bought this thing for like $500 or something, and went to look at it the next day, and it wasn't showing up. He couldn't see it. So it kind of goes to show it helps people to understand that, like, in a digital world, like, you need to have this control, that this kind of like individual control over things, so that you can't be shut out like that, and you can't have your fake rare disappear, right? So I think you're going to see more of that. I think people with these NFTs built on Ethereum, where like you could have a like copyright or trademark issue, and then you have to stop the contract, like halt the contract, right? Well, you can't, like, counterparty is just Bitcoin, right? You don't halt Bitcoin. So I think people are gonna, I don't think a lot of people probably make that conclusion, but you'll bring in this wave of people, and we're already starting to see it, that are like Flow, which is what Top Shots is built on, is like very much a centralized platform. And I'm really interested to see what happens when people start, because it's an open platform, but it'll be interesting when people start posting things that Flow doesn't like, whether because of a copyright issue, or whether because of a political issue, or whether just bad for business, right? Because they're a business. And seeing what happens, like, oh, maybe maybe some NFTs are different than other NFTs, right? They're more open or less open, or could be censored or not censored. So which ones will stand the test of time, right? I have a lot of confidence in Rare Pepe standing the test of time. But yeah, I think those kind of situations hopefully will kind of bring more awareness. And that was kind of the, what I've seen with NFTs in general too. Like, it really forces you to learn about crypto. Like, especially if you're using like these big, like, Ethereum platforms like Nifty Gateway and OpenSea. Like, you have to learn what a wallet is. You have to learn like what private keys are. You have to learn like all that kind of stuff that translates to a lot of like most crypto, Bitcoin or anything else. And then so once you learn that, you can start really exploring like that's a tough concept. I mean, I remember learning it back when I got into Bitcoin in 2013, and like I like public private keys. Like it just like was this weird foreign concept. Like you just generate it, and like I can just do that. I don't need the internet to make one. Like I can just make it. Um, so yeah, it's. I think that's people just need to learn it, and I think it's just that's. I think everyone's waiting for like the killer app. I think NFTs are, in a way, a killer app of blockchains. But on top of that, like just getting the growing that knowledge base of people knowing how to interact with them. They're having a wallet and a private key and all that kind of stuff. NFTs are just going to help that so quick, like so much quicker than if they didn't exist. So I think they're definitely a big driver of adoption. I think they're really important to just crypto in general.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have to check in on auction. We have Rare Skrilla, the auction killer, coming through. I believe just doubled the bid, sitting at 4 million sats, 2.5 thousand USD. So Joe, you've been super generous with your time here and given us just amazing history of this whole movement. So I want to let you go, but one more question for you. For anyone who's interested in the Rare Pepes, maybe they can't quite afford to participate in this auction. What's the best way? Like, how do you dip your toes into getting some Rare Pepes?
I would say join the Telegram chat. If you go to rarepepewallet.com, there's a button at the bottom. I probably got to change the link to it because it brings you to like a channel that then has a link for the Telegram group within it. But you should be able to find your way to the Telegram group through that link on the bottom. That's the big red button.
Yep.
So that should bring you into a channel that will give you a link for the group. And just if you can find your way into the group, if you have any issues, you can shoot me a DM on Twitter or something, or and I can help you out. But go in that Telegram group. People are really excited normally when new people come in and want to learn about it, and just they're kind of excited to be there and start trading them and learning some of the history about it and everything. So there's some Rare Pepes with super high issuance, like I think there's one that tried to max it out. It's like 1 trillion or something like that. But so there's certainly all like you can go in and collect Pepes that aren't as rare that are certainly accessible to people that don't have thousands of dollars to spend on internet trading cards. So.
Right on. All right. Well, that's a good place to leave it. Joe, again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for auctioning off this special moment or this special piece in Bitcoin history. Really excited to see how this unfolds over the next 22 hours and 43 minutes. And anyone paying attention to this thing, join the Scarce City Banter channel. It's linked here in the page. That's where all of the serious participants are placing their bids and talking trash. And that's where we will be primarily covering this auction over the next few hours, over the next day or so. Joe, thanks again, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds good. Take it easy.
All right, that's all we have for you. For anyone who kind of joined late here and you're curious how this works, if you want to place a bid, come down here to place your bid, input how much you want to bid in sats. We do the sats math for you. We convert to USD. We tell you how much collateral you have to put down to place this bid. You'll input an email address. If it's your first time inputting an email address with us, you'll put a display name. That display name is what shows up in the bid table. And from there, you'll be directed to BTC Pay server to pay this amount, your collateral amount, over Lightning preferably, but you can also pay on chain. And at the end of the auction, the highest bidder, they have 24 hours to pay their bid amount in full. If they don't, they lose their collateral. and the next highest bidder has their chance to pay their bid. And otherwise, everybody else gets their sats back at the end. We refund these bid deposits by email really quickly over Lightning. And if you have any trouble with withdrawing them, we'll make sure you get them with no expense to you. So that's all we got. If you do want to follow this again, join the Scarcity Banter Telegram channel. The link's right here. A lot of action going on there. We're also giving away some free sats over Lightning. If you're keeping your notifications on, maybe you'll be quick enough to grab some of those. All right. Thanks for tuning in.